I've been a Garry's Mod player for about 10 years now. For a while, I thought I'd seen everything there was to see. I've investigated every nook and cranny, every secret, every Easter egg, and for a while, I felt satisfied. That was until I heard some online chatter about him. Barry DeKrazi. A secret in the game's code? How could I have missed this? I decided to look into it further on the internet, using web browsers such as Google and Firefox. I searched around, and eventually found out what it was. Or rather, what he was. Barry DeKrazi Newman, the now deceased and forgotten older brother of Garry Newman, supposedly one of the founders of Facepunk Studios and the original developers of Garry's Mod. I found it interesting that his middle name sounded a lot like DeKrazi, and I just brushed it aside at first. I thought I hit a dead end. Died in 2005? How could this affect Garry's Mod today? Pfft, what a load of bogus baloney, I thought to myself. I began to laugh at the very idea. I laughed so loudly, my brother opened the door and asked me what I was doing. I yelled at him, ordering him to leave my room at once, and so he did. I hated my brother. Anywho, I began to ask around on web forums, what was the deal with this Barry DeKrazi rumor? He's a rotting corpse, 6 feet underneath filthy graveyard soil. Why do people care so much? Unfortunately, I didn't find any clear answers. Some said he haunted the game, or possessed the lake which he died in. Some even said Garry lost his mind because of him. Others said Barry never existed at all. There was no way of knowing the whole truth simply by using internet forums. So I decided to catch a plane to see Garry Newman himself. I arrived at his front door with a polite grin and a trustworthy posture. When he opened the door, he was confused at first, but I explained I was merely a seeker of truth. The truth about his crazy brother, Barry. He immediately turned pale like a ghost and said, "I can't help you," and quickly slammed the door shut before I could even say another word. Frankly, I was pissed. I knocked on the door again and again. I probably stood there for hours, hitting the door over and over, harder and harder every few minutes or so. When the police arrived, I decided it was time for me to go back home. It seemed the mystery of Barry DeKrazi was a mystery I'd have to solve on my own, but after that day, I was more intrigued than ever. When I arrived back home, I noticed a particular notification in my inbox. One new anonymous message. Curious. I opened it up. Who wouldn't, after all? However, what I was met with was ominous, to say the least.
"You will not find him. He will find you. BDN."
What could this mean? BDN? Biden, perhaps? No. I quickly realized it was an acronym for Barry DeKrazi Newman. Who could have done this? A forum troll, maybe? I was beginning to feel fear, but it was nothing, right? I decided to play some Garry's Mod like I always do, just to take my mind off all this crazy business. I started a single-player sandbox game on my favourite map, GM Big City. I loved the open space, the way that the roads sat around the tall buildings, a utopia. Or so I assumed. As I entered the building near the spawn area, I witnessed something strange. Crazy, as one could say. It was Barry DeKrazi. There he stood, in all his menacing and monochrome glory. He wasn't moving. He was just standing there, in some kind of crazy manner, staring at me, as if he could see me right through the screen. What the hell? What gives? Someone must have installed some add-on while I was away. I realized it must have been my lousy little brother. he sent me those anonymous messages and downloaded this wretched add-on. That was it. I'd had enough of his games. I angrily stomped over to his room and slammed the door open. He sat on his bed, watching videos on his iPad. I picked him up and threw him on the floor, then started kicking him. He was crying, so I punched him in the face. "That'll teach you not to mess with my computer," I said. I left the room and slammed the door shut behind me. I hated my brother. After the lesson was taught, I disconnected from the single-player game and opened my add-ons list to unsubscribe from the DeKrazi add-on. But, to my complete and utter shock and surprise, I saw nothing. I had no mods installed. This is absolute bollocks, I thought to myself, until I looked at the top left corner of the main menu. The logo had changed. I was no longer playing Garry's mod. It was Barry's mod now. I panicked. My little brother was too dim-witted to set something like this up. Could it be that Barry DeKrazi was real? Was his spirit living inside the game? No, there's no way, I thought. But then, my entire computer screen started glitching out. Fuck! I hated my brother, but I hated this too. I grabbed my computer monitor and started shaking it hard, but nothing changed. Everything on my screen was becoming corrupted. And then it all turned off. Not just my computer, but everything in the house. Every light, every washing machine, every telly. I sat in my room in complete darkness for 5 minutes. I was too scared to move. Suddenly, the phone started ringing. I slowly crept up towards it, my hands trembling with fear. I hesitantly picked it up and weakly whispered, "Hello?" A crazy voice I've never heard in my life answered and said,
Why don't you go check on your brother?
Was this some kind of joke? A sick prank? On me? I was terrified, but I knew I had to do what the voice said. I picked up a flashlight and walked down the hallway to my brother's room. I slowly pushed the door open, and it creaked unnervingly. Suddenly, all the lights turned back on, but what I saw surprised me. There was nobody there. My little brother was gone. There was only a note that read, "Gone fishing." I knew right then and there that this must have been Barry's doing. I rushed back to my room and turned on my computer again. Thankfully, the glitching had stopped, and I was able to open GMOD again. I launched a new single-player game, but this time on the GM Construct map. I'd heard rumors of the lake in GM Construct being haunted by Barry. I needed to ask him what he did to my brother. I hated my brother, but he didn't deserve to just disappear like this. When the game loaded, I ran as quickly as I could to the lake. I typed in chat, "Where is my brother? I'll kill you, you sicko!" with no response. I jumped into the lake to see if he was there, but there was nothing. At least, until I looked up again. There he was. He'd completely emerged from the lake. I knew it. Barry DeKrazi was still alive, inside of the video game. I stepped out to speak with him. He was even crazier in person. I had never seen such a sickening smile, filled with such evil and hatred, and perhaps even craziness. I heard a low, creepy voice begin to speak. The same one from the phone. He said to me,
Your brother is mine. You did not appreciate him in life, and now you will mourn him in death.
He began to laugh like a crazy fucking maniac of some kind, and I couldn't bear it anymore. How could you? He was my brother. Barry thought about this for a moment, but he continued.
You remind me a lot of my brother. I hated my brother. He took everything from me and turned me into this monster. I have only come back is rightfully mine.
I was not having it. Why was he talking so much about himself? I don't give a damn. I just wanted to see my brother again. I just want to see my brother again, I said. He cackled crazily yet again and said,
You want to see your brother? Check the NPCs tab.
I wasn't sure what he meant at first, but I did as he asked. I looked over at the human section, and bloody hell, my brother, he was nothing more than a GMOD NPC now. I spawned him into the map immediately. I thought I could save him, but before I could get the chance to talk to him, a large piranha leapt out of the water and ate him whole. No! I cried. The screen began to turn dark red. Barry said,
You see, you have no respect for your brother, and now you must live with the consequences.
I was so angry and vengeful. I tried to shoot him with a gun from the weapons menu, but it was no use. He was too crazy to be stopped. This was utter shite. He started to glitch my screen, and then the game crashed. An error message appeared on my screen that said, Brother error. I sat there for a moment, contemplating my actions. In a way, Barry was right. I had treated my brother like rubbish. I was no better than he was. After this experience, I believe I've been taught a very valuable lesson. This is the moral of the story. Always respect your brothers, and take care of them as you would yourself. Little brother, if you're still out there somewhere, I'm sorry. What happened to you was certainly DeKrazi.